Continuing, let's go back to page number 2 of Unit 4 and ask ourselves, and now we'll show, we learned earlier, just to remind briefly, we had a machloket at the bottom of page 1, machloket in Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda, about are Yovel and Shmita dependent or not, or do they depend on each other, right? Here's a third of them. What we both agree is that you keep Shmita regardless. So it seems to say, the Gemara in Erchin says the following: Sukkot, which is quite an astonishing thing to say. From Yoshua till Ezra, no one sat in the sukkah. I mean, there were a few. You can say Tofi. I think in Menashe's time, people sat in the sukkah. But what about David HaMelech? אלא מקיש ביתם בימי עזרא לביתם בימי יהושע, וביתם בימי יהושע מנו שביתין ויובלות וקידשו הרי חומה, וביתם בימי עזרא מנו שביתין ויובלות וקידשו הרי חומה, which teaches us לכאורה that when they returned in Israel's time, Shmita and Yovel were kept, right? Which would fit Rabbi Yotam's opinion, right? Not the Ramban's, for example, right? Says the Gemara, wait, hold on. Before you jump to Rabbi Yotam and Ramban, Mimanu Shmitin v'Yovlot, is this true? Shmita and Yovel in Israel's time. Right? Why did Yovel stop in that time? So we said, right, just like the Yerushalmi said, the Gemara, the Bavli brings it in a moment. Sorry. So Zra's time at best, we had maybe 50,000 people here, right? The Tanya, right, what we said, that they have to not be mixed and etc. I'm skipping to the end of the Gemara because it just quoted what we said before already. Meaning, why did we have to keep track of the Yovel? In that time, they weren't keeping Yovel. Because the question was, when is the right year to keep Shmita? Because if Yovel is the 50th year, so you skip that year, even if you're not keeping it. So when you say, when the Braita says, Manush Mitin V'Yovlot, what we mean is, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, also true. But even immediately they had to know which is the right, because sometimes you have between Shmita, usually you have between Shmita and Shmita you have 6 years, and if Yovel happens to be that year, so you'll have 7 years between Shmita and Shmita. Right? That's it. And then that'll affect all the rest of the Shmitas. You'll get all the Shmitas wrong if you don't keep track. So it says, when it says over here that they kept Yovel, they didn't really keep Yovel. Not really. The answer is they didn't really keep Yovel. What about Shmita? Did they keep Shmita? Why? It seems they did, right? It seems they did. For two reasons. First of all, the Gmaras says, wait, they kept Shmita and Yovel, and they tell us why they didn't keep Yovel. What about Shmita? Or they kept. Not only that, what's the answer? What's the Gemara's final answer? You don't need to know when Yovel is, you need to know when Shmita is. Say, wait, why do you need to know when Shmita is? Obviously, they were keeping Shmita. Right? All right. So the Gemara in Erchin seems to assume that in Israel's time they kept Shmita Doraita. That's what it sounds like, right? That's what it sounds like. Now, let's see the Gemara in two other places. The Gemara, let's start from the Yerushalmi in Gittin, Perek Daled Al Chagimel. What is Perek Daled in Gittin? Fourth Perek of Gittin. It's most famous, most infamous for Agadat Al-Churban, right? Agadat Al-Churban, right? Very popular Perek for Tisha B'Av, right? On Tisha B'Av, comes with our Kamta. It's part of Takanot that were made in different times, and why are Takanot that were made in different times interest us in this context? What Takana specifically? Prosbul, right? So as the Yerushalmi, how did Hillel create the Prosbul? Hillel matkin al Torah. Hillel is making a takana against the Torah. And Rabbi Yossi, חמישה שגלו לבבל כלום נפטרו למצוות תלויות בארץ. השמט כספים נוהג בין בארץ ובין מחוץ לארץ. So Rabbi Yossi is saying, wait. Hillel, Rabbi Yossi already assumes it must be that there isn't really a chiyuv to keep Shmita. And that's why Hillel can do it. Elamai, the problem is that why should you not have to keep Shmita? Why should you not have to keep Shmita Ksafim? Because again, let's remind ourselves, Shmita has two components, right? The land and the money. Now, land, I understand why that's connected to Eretz Yisrael. What about the monetary, right? Letting go of all chavot. Why should that not apply? No reason. Okay, all you, if there are any Chutz La'aretz people here, you should know. Shmita's coming. חזר ביוסי ואמר, no, זה דבר שמיטה שמות. בשעה שהשמיטה נוהגת בארץ מדבר תורה, השמט כספים נוהג בין בארץ בין בחוץ לארץ דבר תורה. בשעה שהשמיטה נוהגת בארץ מדבריהם, השמט כספים נוהג בין בארץ ובחוץ לארץ מדבריהם. So question, in Hillel's time, was Shmita d'oraita? According to Rabbi Yossi? Right? It's not, it wasn't. How do you know? Right. It makes it very clear. At that time, it was kept Divrehim, meaning why was Hillel able to create the prosbul against the Torah? The answer is not against the Torah, he's only against Chazal. Why does that work? We're going to, unit 25, that's the plan. Unit 25 is going to deal with that question. But it's the plan, comes to fruition. But I'm in unit 12 right now, so. Yeah. But what's clear from here is that Hillel can only make the takana of prosbul if prosbul is if Shmita is drabanan. And why is Shmita drabanan? You'll note that it's not so clear why Shmita is drabanan according to Rabbi Yossi. He just says בשעה שהשמיטה נוהגת בארץ מדבריהם, Shmet Ksafim nogim b'aretz ben chutz la'aretz midivreim. What are we discussing? We're discussing Shmet Ksafim, right? He says, since the Shmita on the land is not d'oraita, Shmita on Ksafim is not d'oraita either. Why is Shmita on the land not d'oraita? Doesn't say, right? Doesn't explain it here, right? All right. Taman Amrin, this is based on what we know. Filu keman da'amar. And why? I don't know. It doesn't say, right? Because we have outside information that tells us that Shmita is Drabana. That's Rabbi Yossi. Now we'll see Rabbi. זה דבר שמיטה שמות. רבי אומר שני שמיטים. שמיטה ויובל. בשעה שהיובל נוהג, השמיטה נוהגת מדברי תורה. כל יובלות נוהגת השמיטה מדבריהן. So Rabbi is a third opinion. לכאורה. Right, we had Rabbi Yossi, we had Chachamim, we had Rabbi Yehuda, who said that Yovel depends on Shmita. We have Chachamim who said they are totally independent, and we have Rabbi who says that Shmita depends on Yovel. Right, that's the direction that we didn't have until now, and maybe that could be that'll be the base of what Rabbi Yossi says. Although when Rabbi says Zedvar Shmita Shamot Shnei Shmitin, Shmita veYovel, what Shnei Shmitin? What are the Shnei Shmitin? Ksafim ve... Wait, Shnia. One has to be Shmita, one has to be Yovel. So Yovel, we know what Yovel is, right? Right? Shnei Shmitim, Shmita ve Yovel. Right? Zed var Shmita Shamot. So one of them is Yovel. What's the other? Which one? Which one is it in the pasuk? What pasuk is this? One? Where is the Devar Shmita Shamot say? Where does it say in the Torah is the Devar Shmita Shamot? Where's that written? Right? Yovel. What? Yeah. Where is Yovel brought in the Torah? What? Pashat Behar. Vayikra Kaf Hei. Okay. Where is Devar Shmita Shamot? In Dvarim. Shamot kol bal mashayado. What is that? Shmitat. What is Shamot kol bal mashayado? What does that mean? Shmitat ksafim, right? Don't sue anyone who owes you money. That's what the pasuk means, right? So when you say Zadval Shmita Shamot, what are we comparing? Comparing Shmitat Ksafim to Yovel, right? What Shmitat Kaka? Don't know, right? For the moment, at least, I don't know. But that's clearly Rebbe is clearly saying that, right? Yovel. Okay. So Yovel is one, right? Well, right. The question is, what is when you say Shmita? What do we mean? When you say Shmita about Yovel, we say the Yovel aspect of Shmita. What do we mean? I dare say that. What do we mean when the word Shmita in this context refers to? I'll say more than that. Where's the word Shmita? The word Shmita in the Torah, as it applies to the 7th year, what does it refer to? It's going to blow your mind. Shabbat Ha'aretz doesn't say Shmita. Where does it say Shmita? About you, about the 7th year. All right. No, it doesn't say explicitly. I'm saying the word Shmita. Where's the word Shmita used in the context of Shvi'it, of the 7th year? Do you know where it says? The word Shmita in the context of the 7th year? Only in the context of Shmitat Ksafim. Only there. It never appears in the context of Shmitat Kalka. Shmitat Kalka is written twice, in Parashat Mishpatim and Parashat Behal. Neither place does the Torah, it says Tishmit. No, that's not true. No, sorry, it's not true. No, sorry, erase all that. That's not true. Sorry, in Shmot it does say it, right? Shmot, what parak are we? Kaf Gimel. No, it does say Vashviti Shmitena Untashta. Okay, so it does say Shmita. Sorry, I got mixed up. But in the context of, in Parashat Behar, it doesn't say Shmita about Shvit. Here, the Hekesh has to be between Shmitat Ksafim and Yovel. What you can say as well, you're not going to have Shmitat Karka with Shmitat Ksafim, right? But the Hekesh just pointing out the Shmitat between those two. But what's important to us at the moment is sorry, I muted myself by mistake. It seems Rabbi Yossi and Rebbe both seem to agree that Shmita nowadays is not doraita, and that's why Hillel Zaken could metaken a prosbul, right? Because he could go against Chazal, he can't go against the Torah. Why? Rabbi Yossi doesn't really say. He says Shmita Shamot compares Shmitat, presumably, right? Shmitat Ksafim and Shmitat Kalka, right? And Rebbe says Shmitat Yovel and Shmitat Kalka. So, right? You see what happened here? Rebbe says Shnei Shmitin, Shmita v'Yovel. Rabbi Yossi says, well, Shmitat Shamot is Shmitat Kalka and Shmitat Ksafim. According to Rabbi Yossi, we're missing the link of, okay, but who says Shmitat Kalka doesn't apply when there's Galut or whatever? So it seems to be a question unto itself. All this seems to go against Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda we saw before, who seemed to say that Shmita is independent and should happen anyway, regardless of Yovel, regardless of anything. It doesn't look like they have any other precondition. That's what it looks like. All right. Let's see. So that's one source that seems to go against with the Gemara in Erchin. The Gemara in Erchin seems to assume that Shmita is Doraita, right? In Israel's time, they kept Shmita. They even counted the Yovel to know what is the correct year for Shmita, right? And the Gemara in Erchin, the Yerushalmi, and also we'll see right now in the Bavli, and that will finish. The Yerushalmi says according to Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi, both assume that Shmita is not Doraita, otherwise Hillel Zaken would not be able to create the prosbul. And the Gemara in Moed Katan also seems to say, why are you allowed to water your plants on during Shmita? Says Abaye, Shvit bezman hazeh. Right? Shvit bezman hazeh. And it's Rabbi. Who's Rabbi? Our friend Rabbi from the Yerushalmi. The Tanya, Rabbi Omer, Shmita Shamot, Shmita Ksafim. Is that what Rabbi says? Look back in the Yerushalmi. Is that what Rabbi says? Right? This seems to be Rabbi Yossi. Right? In the Bavli, when Abaye brings Rabbi, he seems to be quoting Rabbi Yossi. Now, again, I'm not a big machaker, small machaker. Shoin, I don't get too overexcited about. All right, so different masorot. It's Rabbi say this one, Rabbi say the other. Fine, whatever. But now, how do I know there's no shmitat karka? According to this opinion. Sorry? The hekesh between what and what? So if it's between Shmita and Yovel, I understand. But it's between Shmita and Shmita, that's not so clear, right? We said. So I'm saying there's a machloket, right? In the Yerushalmi, we saw a machloket between Rabbi Yossi says, what Abai is saying now, that's a hekesh between the ksafim and the karka, right? And according to Rabbi, it's Shmita and Yovel. You'll also notice another important thing. This, if you pay attention to this, I know it's late at night, and it's hard to pay attention at this point, and also there are lots of sources that are kind of conflicting. So this is really going to blow your minds if you manage to concentrate enough. The Gemara in Moed Katan says, what's the Gemara's question? Why are you allowed to do what? Why are you allowed to do what? What is that? Part of what world? Shmitat? Kalka. What's Abaye's answer? Shmitat Shamot. There's a hekesh between Shmitat Kalka and Shmitat Ksafim, which teaches us what? No. What's the limud? What does the limud say? What does the limud say? The limud says if there's no Shmitat Kalka, there's no Shmitat Ksafim either. So what is the chidush in that sentence? That there's no Shmitat Ksafim. That there's no Shmitat Ksafim even in Chutz La'aretz, right? There's no Shmitat Ksafim. If there's no Shmitat Kalka, there's no Shmitat Ksafim, right? But again, there's the given and there's the extrapolation, right? The Gemara in Gittin, the question was, what's the justification of creating prosbul? It's against the Torah. So he said, no. Shmitat Ksafim is not really Doraita. Because why not? Why not? Just don't sue people. It doesn't matter where you are. So no. It does matter because it still depends on Shmitat Karka. And I said, how do Shmitat Karka doesn't apply? Don't know. Not so clear, right? But the Shmitat Ksafim depends on that. So I know about Shmitat Ksafim. Why not Karka Loida? It's another question. Abai wants to learn what? How do I know that nowadays we don't have? Right. How nowadays we don't have Shmitat Kalka? What's the answer? Wait, what? But why is there Shmitat Ksafim? It's right. It's a circular. Abaye's argument comes out a circular argument, right? He says, since we have this limud, we know that if there's no Shmitat Karka, there's no Ksafim. I'm like, wait, but that's not my question. Because why is there no Shmitat Karka? Right? The question was, why are you allowed to water the plants? Meaning, how do you know there's no Shmitat Ksafim? There's no Shmitat Karka. What's the answer? No, there's no Shmitat Ksafim if there's Shmitat Karka. I'm like, yeah, but why is there no Shmitat Karka? You didn't answer that question. Right? Now, we'll give a simple answer, and next week we'll give a more complex answer. What's the simple answer? That's always true. That's always the simplest answer. The simple answer is to say, look, you have a good question, but I do know that Rebbe used this to explain the prosbul. Meaning Rebbe already knows that there's no Shmitat Karka. Really, I don't need all I need here is to say, Rebbe told me already that there's no Shmitat Karka nowadays. It says, wait, what is he talking about? He's talking about how to extrapolate from Shmitat Karka to Shmitat Ksafim. Fine. I don't care about Shmitat Ksafim. I'm talking about Shmitat Karka. Right, but you see that his assumption is there's no Shmitat Karka, right? Good enough for me. See what I did there? It's not. That Abaye is saying Shvit was on the like Rebbe says. And then he says, wait, why does Rebbe say? I don't know. Or maybe I do know. But we already agree that Rebbe said this in Gittin. That was a good answer. Yeah, it's good here too. He says, wait, but he was talking about Ksafim. Doesn't matter. Based on his assumption, in order to start to derive Ksafim from Karka, I have to assume there's no Karka, right? I'm just taking his assumption and copying it to here. It's true. Once I do that, I'll copy the rest of Rebbe and just, so you'll know which Rebbe I'm talking about. It very well may be, I'll say, Imkvar, I said big mechker, small mechker, I'll say another mechkerish point. What did Abai actually say? Where's his words? Abai, the person. What does the Gmaras say is one thing. What did Abai actually say? It very well may be, all Abai said was, Shvid was on a zever Rebbe. So that's all he said. Now the Gemara doesn't want to keep you hanging because say who's Rebbe? Rashi is not going to be Rashi is only going to be born in 600 years. I need an answer now, right? So they added on the Tanya Rebbe Omer. We'll copy over that Rebbe, but the Rebbe, same Rebbe, when Gittin told us that Shmita doesn't apply to it nowadays, right? That same Rebbe will be applicable here as well. Now it's true that the extrapolation Rebbe was interested in there was about Ksafim. I'm talking about the very fact that the Rebbe says you can base kulos on the fact that nowadays there's no Shmita at all, Ksafim or Karka. Now you'll say, it's Rabbi Yossi, not Rabbi. That's another side point. But the main point is, I think what Abai did was he said, nowadays Rebbe told us there's no Shmita at all. Say, I don't need the words at all. Yeah, you don't need, but it's good enough, right? So, and that's how I just want to sum up. I just want to sum up very, very briefly. Three-way machloket, just in terms of the mekorot of the Gmaras, because there's going to be a lot of fun, as you can tell. 3 points that we have to start with a bang, right? We have a bit of politics and then lots of contradicting sources, otherwise to get back into things. Three-way machloket about whether Yovel and Shmita are independent or codependent. One opinion says they're totally independent. One says that Yovel only applies when Shmita works, and Rebbe, who says that Rebbe and the Yerushalmi, who says that Shmita only exists if Yovel exists. The Yerushalmi then thinks a machloket between Rebbe and Rabbi Yossi, two ways. Learns that Shmita Shamot, is that comparing Shmita Karka and Ksafim, or is that comparing Shmita to Yovel, right? And Abaye copy-pasted, who he called Rebbe, to the Gemara in Moed Katan, to let us know that Shmita is Rabbanan nowadays, right? Now, having said that, there's also the other side, which is the Gemara in Erchin, right? I'm skipping around the Gemara so you can see where I'm talking about, right? Gemara in Erchin, it seems to assume that we're counting Shmitas, they're counting Yovlot to know when to keep Shmita, which seems to imply that Shmita is the right against Rabbi. So there? That's